Yeah. 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 Also doesn't help. I'm in the basement as well. It's cold down here. I have the space heater on right now. It's going to stay on. It doesn't look... Yeah, I don't think... Like, I'm getting very little feedback from it, but I'll be able to fix that. It's better than that year I was in that apartment with the huge furnace that would go on every... Yeah. It definitely was. It definitely was. Yeah. I'm getting very little. All right, let me get Twitter, which I just have to make the Blue Sky account because Twitter is this... Oh. It's kind of annoying. I don't know if you get the notifications from DDG, but like, because we don't follow a ton of people, Twitter is constantly sending me notifications being like, oh, this person just tweeted, and then it's attached to the DDG account, and it's some like right-wing extremist, and I'm just like, why the fuck? How messed up is the algorithm that it's thinking this account cares about like some random like anti-vax thing in 2025? I can't even get Twitter to load right now. Is it down? Yeah, Twitter's down. Alright, whatever. God, don't make me do x.com. You fucker, does twitter.com not work anymore? Okay, whatever. Might have to go back to another keyboard. Gotta talk. Talking. Yeah, it shouldn't be. Yep, you might want to fix that. All right. All right, starting soon, you said is up. Let me just get in there. Glad we didn't put a lot of effort into getting TikTok set up. All right, starting soon, you said is up. Let me just get in there. Glad we didn't put a lot of effort into getting TikTok set up. All right. One sec. Yeah. Yes, I do. Yep.
DDG episode 237. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Just watching Dave like frantically reframe things as he's checking sound at the same time.
There's some hiccups in 2025 right now. It's been a minute, okay? The last one we did was the Game Awards because I got sick, and then you got sick, and then the holidays, I got sick, then the holidays happened, and then you got sick.
Then I got sick. We were supposed to be back last week, but it didn't work out that way. But yeah, no, we're back. It feels weird. It's been a while since we talked about games. It's actually been a while since I've talked about any video games because I don't really do Twitter anymore or anything like that. So like all my gaming opinions have been bottled inside for the last month and a half, however long we've been out. I'm looking at Dave again. He's frantically looking to see if everything's working.
Right, so.
Yeah. Okay. We good, Dave?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So how have you been, Dave? Now that you're done being sick, your computer problems are hopefully over because that also delayed us a couple episodes.
I'm okay. Things are good. A really good holiday season. Spent some time with my family. I spent some time with my direct family, like my sister and my brother-in-law, stuff like that. Like first holiday without my dad. So like prioritizing the family was a little bit of a higher priority during this time of year. But overall, like, things were good. Really good Christmas with my direct family. Good New Year's and everything like that. So things are good. Things are really good.
That's good to hear.
What about you?
Have you been? It's family stuff. New house. First winter in a new house. So just constantly just poking the broiler and the furnace, being like, "Don't die on me." But everything's been pretty good.
Putting your hands on all the window seams. Is that cold air?
Yeah. Just I'm still finding corners that the previous owners cut, and there's quite a few of them. A couple windows weren't like sealed with like caulk or anything like that or sealant, and so there was a couple times where I'm having to like fix some windows here and there. So just been doing all the homeowner stuff that's kind of boring, and then trying to fit video game time between that, and then also being sick the last like 2 weeks has been fun. And then work is still chaotic right now, so still trying to get like the work-life balance going again. But yeah, happy the video game industry kind of took a little bit of a nap while we've been gone.
Mm-hmm. You're good. It's just like she's saying that you're really loud, so I can't tell. But you are not moving on my OBS right now.
You might have to just lower me then just a little bit then.
I just hate to do this like live. Like
it's too late, Dave. You acknowledged it live, so we have to do it live. So just tweak me just a little bit, Dave.
Yeah, I did. So.
Okay. All right. Dave, start the show. Angela, you might have to do some fun editing on this.
No, we're good. Let's just leave it like this. It's the first show of 2025. We're gonna leave it like this.
Very, very painful. Very painful with people that are used to it. A lot of dead air, Dave.
Okay.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
You want me to restart?
No, it's fine. We can just keep going, Dave.
Okay. All right. So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are typically a weekly podcast. We're going to get back on that schedule in 2025. Probably not, but we're going to try. We post on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time, typically. You can find us on the website at www.digitaldaysgaming.com. We were just talking about something about Blue Sky that we probably need to do because X and Twitter and is kind of going down. Not looking too good.
It's like the Titanic. It's a very slow sink. It's just been kind of a mess. I have not loaded Twitter up consistently in a long time. I have really not been looking at it. And every time I do, it just turns into this like hellscape AI back alley fucking social media site. And not in like the fun way Twitter used to be, in like a horrible way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, you can subscribe to us on podcast services around, Google Play or Apple Podcasts, whatever those things are. And you can leave us a review. You can do Spotify. All of those services are available to you. And if you can leave us a review, that's helpful. We're a little rusty, and it sounds like we might be having some minor tech issues, so I apologize. But other than that, we are going to try to power through this, and we're going to try to do some regular routine stuff, and we're going to jump into the news.
Yeah. So news, pretty light. There was, of course, a lot of like company layoffs and stuff like that happening. So we're not going to cover all of those, unfortunately. But we'll jump into some stuff that came out of CES and some news things that we missed over the last couple weeks. The first thing is PlayStation announced that Helldivers and Horizon will be getting film adaptations. So at CES, Sony did their big presentation, and it's always a combination of like, their actual tech stuff, but then they also bring out the movie companies out just so that they could do that. I guess it's just what they use as their platform. But at CES, they announced that Helldivers and Horizon will be getting film adaptations. Horizon was originally announced as a TV show, and I guess that is not happening now, though the producer for Sony said that there are multiple Horizon projects, so that could be anything. That could be various video games things. They did point to Lego Horizon as a Horizon project, so I imagine they're talking about sequels to Horizon. Sounds like that multiplayer game for Horizon still on target to be an actual thing. But yeah, we're going to get a Horizon movie. And who knows, that means there also could still be a Horizon TV show in the works. And then, of course, Helldivers getting a movie is kind of funny because it's just kind of a rip on Starship Troopers. So I guess we'll just
I
get
don't
Starship
really
Troopers.
See a market for a Helldivers movie, but I mean, I just don't think that the type of dialogue and kind of jump the shark style thing that Helldivers and Helldivers 2 have currently is going to fit in a movie format.
Yeah, it feels like an old idea. Like you could do a Helldivers in the 90s. I feel
Correct.
like, like Independence Day, those type of summer blockbusters. Yes. But nowadays everything needs to be tied to like a big franchise with multiple sequels, and I just don't really see that for Helldivers.
I don't even think that. I just think that you need to figure out a way to mass appeal to audiences. Like, like it's kind of what we talked about with initially with our thought. Like they did the Last of Us TV show phenomenally. We still are hearing rumors about God of War, but yeah, I mean, I guess like we were kind of like at the same time, at least I was like, how are we going to see a Mario movie? And they did a great job. Sonic has done all 3 Sonic movies are great. I saw the 3rd one over the holidays.
I did too.
So I mean, that's worked, but I just don't like. I don't know, like little things, and I know our genres and our taste in movies are significantly different. But do you think in 2025 they could do American Pie again? Like,
No. Like I think as a like block
stuff, like that's just not allowed anymore.
No. So it's not like a not allowed thing. I just don't think there is
it's not
put that in a movie
maker.
Theater. Yeah, no, it's something that you can put on a streaming service and people will watch it on streaming.
Now, if Helldivers doesn't go to theaters and ends up being something that shows up on Netflix or shows up on Prime, because I think Sony has a good relationship with Amazon.
With kind of everybody, Apple as well. Because remember, Sony was the one where it's just like, hey, we're not going to make our own service. We're just going to license to service providers.
So if they do something like that, this might work. I can't see taking Angela to Helldivers. As a dinner and a movie thing,
Well, Horizon, yes, because Horizon
Absolutely.
seems like that would fit in as a blockbuster popcorn summer movie.
Yeah, and I could see getting a high end actress to play Aloy, like a familiar face to play her. Now, obviously, she'll have some other tech stuff on, but I mean, I could totally see a decent name, like not a high end, like not a what you call like a AAA actress or something.
Probably like one of those like HBO actresses that are ready to make it to like a Hollywood star.
That would be, I could totally see that working, but like, who's the main character of Helldivers? Like, I'm not trying to criticize the game, but
wait, I would imagine the pitch for Helldivers is like Fast and the Furious meets Starship Troopers. It's one of those things where you need an ensemble cast of various like action stars in it to try and pitch that, because it's going to be silly and all that stuff, and it's going to be mostly about the explosions.
I feel like when this news was breaking, whether it was like pre-CES or at CES or stage presentation, I don't remember where it came from, but I'm like, wow, like everything's getting a movie or an anime right now. It felt like. Yeah,
it's that synergy thing that like PlayStation is
brand representation.
Yeah, and this is the thing that Sony's been wanting to do for a while, and they never could get their act together. And then after they strung together a couple hits, They're going to push it and see what they can get.
But do you think, like, I guess ultimately, do you think, sure, maybe the multiplayer game coming out or something like that, but do you think that getting Horizon out in a television format, a movie format, in a, you know, a watching format, not a playing format, will increase playing sales?
I think it could, especially for how well Horizon has sold.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about the first game sold like what, 20 million copies?
Probably
it's like
over lifetime or an X amount of players and downloads because it was free and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So I can see Horizon kind of. We're talking about like fucking robot dinosaurs.
No, I mean, I think it'll do successfully. Like, I think it'll be a successful television show or movie or, you know, like big screen adaptation. I think, without a doubt, I think that'll be successful. Do you think somebody's going to walk out of that movie and want to go buy Horizon Zero Dawn?
I think so, because of the premise and what you're seeing. You know, especially if you're seeing like,
I guess
dinosaur robots.
Yeah, it depends on if it leads up to the events of the first game, like where they put the story. You know.
I think if you're appealing to like the mass audience, they don't care about story timeline. They're just going to be like, I want to kill that big dinosaur in a video game, or I want to interact with it.
But I think it might be cool to do something at the end, be like, oh, you want to know the rest of Aloy's story? Go play the game. You know, I know that sounds
potentially.
That, but, you know.
Yeah. So. But most likely, if it's going to be Aloy's story, it's just going to be like, hey, here's the first game again. Also, hey, the first game is dirt cheap because it's available and it's been out for a while. So I can see it being successful.
Tell a different character story, and then that character meets Aloy. Like, I think that might be harder, but I think that could be potential to draw more interest. I don't know.
Yeah, Helldivers is the one that's going to have a harder time because it's like, hey, this movie was super cool. Let me find 3 other people and do this co-op game. That's a harder sell, unless they have a sequel ready to go, Helldivers 3, by the time the movie comes out, if it ever comes out at that. Especially with these movie projects. I mean, we were talking about Horizon 2 years ago as a TV show, and now we're getting a movie. Right. You know, God of War has been rebooted twice already as a TV show. So we'll see if anything happens. I would say Helldivers would probably be easier to make because you don't have to really worry about any like deep lore, any upsetting like a franchise of a video game. But I would imagine Horizon is PlayStation's like baby right now. You know, that's like their golden goose. So they're probably going to be very hands-on to make sure this movie isn't like tampered with or hurts the game's image.
For sure.
Helldivers, they're kind of just like, make it, see what happens. If it doesn't work, whatever. We killed Helldivers as a franchise.
It won't be as high of a budget either because you won't have to have like we talked about, like an HBO style actress.
No, exactly. You just get a bunch of clones. Honestly, you just get some
like,
you see who in the
a lot of CG. Honestly, it'd probably be a lot of CG.
Yeah. It's to be beefy dudes in like suits and or in mech suits or whatever.
Just no naked shower scenes, okay, Helldivers? No naked shower scenes.
I mean, they could do it. There's an audience for it. It could help. If it becomes a TV show, they'll definitely do that. All right, the next story I just put in here just because I thought it was kind of funny. So in the summer, we talked about Annapurna, the publisher. Their entire publishing arm basically resigned over disputes with their parent company, Annapurna. And it was like the first time we've ever seen like an entire like staff just completely resign. And people were wondering like, what are they going to do? What are their plans? And it turns out their plan was to work with a private equity company and buy Private Division from Take-Two. So Take-Two back in November announced that they sold Private Division, their indie publishing arm, to private investors. Those private investors turned out to be that staff of Annapurna people that left and some investors. And now it turns out that they are just going to run Private Division and take over the publishing rights for Kerbal Space Program, Tales of the Shire, and the unannounced Game Freak title. So this is kind of like nature balancing itself out. We were going to lose potentially 2 indie labels, and now we got like one indie label that has like some good pedigree behind it.
Right. Good for them. I mean, like we talked about this before, like you're not going to just let this talent just walk out of the industry. Like we figured something like this was happening. Now I'm very, very curious about, and I believe their resignation was like abrupt. like
Yeah.
broad and abrupt. So I'm sure that they, you know, tried to keep them and tried to either, you know, get them to sign a non-compete. I'm sure, which apparently didn't work, or it did
Yeah.
work and it was only 6 months, and we're pretty much at that time.
Which is probably why Take-Two was like, we can't say who we sold to.
Yeah.
And then January rolls over and suddenly it's like, yeah, we sold to these guys.
Yeah,
And it's like,
or their contract was through 2024, whatever kind of like weird contract they had with Annapurna. But I mean, this is kind of the direction that the industry is going, where it's more about the developers and the staff. I mean, we're seeing more and more and more of this because of these just ridiculous layoffs that these big corporations are doing that are cutting costs and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people are like, okay, well, developing games is easier now than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago at home with the tools and everything like that. And we have tons and tons of talent, and some of this talent got paid like a lot of money. Christopher Barrett for Bungie left or got fired or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's suing, and it came out that he's suing because he pretty much says, I got fired because they didn't want to give me my $53 million retention bonus. Who the hell has a $53 million retention bonus?
Jim Ryan when he's trying to keep talent. Like,
yeah. And so, I mean, if even a quarter of that for a salary for somebody at Annapurna, 10% of that, 5.3 million, which is ridiculous. You know, but if those people decide that, you know, hey, we're going to put a quarter, we're all going to invest 10% into this company, and everybody brings $500,000 to the table, you have a video game developer. Like,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think that every single person that left Annapurna has $500,000 in their bank account? No. But
That's why they got some
Yeah.
money investors. Yeah.
But I mean, they've got, like you said, they've got the pedigree to go, hey, we want to do this, so we just need you to pay the bill. We'll take care of the rest. Like,
especially the pitch for an Annapurna is like, we're not even developing the games.
yeah.
We're just talking with people that develop the games, and then we'll, you know, speak on their behalf and market for them.
Right.
So it's probably an even bigger investment pitch of just like, hey, we're not doing the most expensive part of this process.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
we're tastemakers.
we have $10 million.
Yeah. And people are like, fuck it. Okay. We're not even doing the risky part. Like, we're not, you know, actually developing stuff. Cool. Here's my money. So yeah, well, I don't know if they're going to still be Private Division. I would say, Dave, like when I say Private Division, I would imagine that name doesn't really have any cachet.
I think when their logo shows up, I think some people get interested a little bit. I mean, if I'm sitting watching a PlayStation Direct, and Nintendo Direct, and Xbox Showcase, and they show a trailer, and I see a Private Division logo there for half a second, if I'm looking at my phone, I stop and look at the trailer for a second, though, right?
I guess. I mean, they had the Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
That was like their biggest game.
I'm just saying, like, I recognize the logo.
Yeah, yeah. But it might take you a couple seconds to be like, why do I recognize that logo?
But
as opposed to
it gets my interest. There's a connection there. Not the connection of like the Naughty Dog paw print when it shows up on the screen.
Yeah.
You know, but
or Annapurna, where they used to come from,
Yeah,
where you'd see the Annapurna logo and you're like, oh, okay, I know what I'm getting.
right.
Yeah.
But there's
so I wonder.
There, so.
Yeah. So I wonder if they'll keep the Private Division name, or if Take-Two kept that as well and just gave them the assets.
I'll be very, very curious if they can do something like really, really petty and like put the Private Division logo up there and then say, you know, from the people that produce blah 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 blah, like, and it's an Annapurna game, like a little print, you know, like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so one of the games they
from the
do
staff
now.
that brought you XYZ.
The thing is, like, I imagine it got a lot of investors because one of the companies that they have the rights to their game is Game Freak, which is the creators of Pokemon. So they're going to have Game Freak's next video game under their banner. So I would imagine a lot of their pitches were like, hey, we could have the next Pokemon game. Game Freak doesn't have the best track record outside of Pokemon games, but it probably is enough to get investors to be like, fuck it, sign me up and let's see what they got. So like they at least are going to have like a good shot to, you know, like swing for the fences with their first like major game coming with Game Freak, which I believe just has a project title. It doesn't even have like an official name or release date. It's just like, hey, here's Game Freak's next title. and it's going to be their first one. So for an indie label, that sounds like a good like first attempt at a game. Because I don't really know what you do with Kerbal, honestly.
Not much.
Yeah. All right. From blossoming publisher to a opposite of blossoming. Sorry, I can't think of words. Ubisoft is still trying to figure things out. So I don't know if we talked about this last time we recorded, but the Guillemot family are trying their best to figure out what to do with Ubisoft. And they are currently pitching Tencent to help them take Ubisoft private, but also leave the family in charge of Ubisoft with Tencent's money. And that's a big sticking point. The current proposal right now is they want to start a new company and transfer assets to that new company and then have Tencent buy that new company. So then the family can run that new company with Tencent, not under the Ubisoft name, and it won't be a publicly traded company anymore. There are no details on what IPs the family want to remove from Ubisoft and put in this new company. And there's like no details on like how serious these talks are going, other than it is being pitched. Dave, as someone who likes Ubisoft, this is a wild concept, and this screams of desperation of them trying to figure out how to.
Yeah, like that's my first question. How? Like the Ubisoft board's gonna sit there and be like, "Sure, take Far Cry. Go ahead."
Yeah,
like no problem. Oh, you want you want Rabbids? Okay, take it. No big deal. Like like how much power does Guillemot have? The Guillemot family. Am I saying that right?
Guillemot, yeah.
Guillemot. How much power does the Guillemot family have? How much money do they have? How much is it going to cost? And then how much do they need Tencent to give them to do said thing if they don't have enough money? Like that's a huge investment for Tencent. Okay, we need to buy IPs. And then you're going to resign. You're going to resign from the company. We need to buy X amount of IPs to then start a new company, which what we just talked about, private division logo and stuff like that. Like the Ubisoft logo gets anybody's attention on a trailer versus Guillemot Gaming.
Yeah.
So I don't see an avenue that ends with this being successful.
Yeah, the percentages broke down in the article. So Tencent owns 10% of Ubisoft, 9.99%.
Okay.
And the Guillemot family own 14% of Ubisoft.
Okay.
The rest is publicly traded, so they would need the board to approve.
77%, right? 76%.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So again, 70. You got 100 people sitting at a table, and you can control. You can control 23 hands.
Potentially, yeah. So this is one of those things where I wonder how they're pitching this in terms of like, are you pitching it to where it's like, hey, so we're going to put the shitty IPs in this new company, spin that off to make Ubisoft leaner, so then you can buy Ubisoft. Because the idea, the other way sounds crazier to me, which is what the news article is basically pitching.
Yeah.
Of like, they're going to put the most successful companies in this new company.
Okay, right off the bat. What's the number one thing that you put on the top of your wish list from Ubisoft?
Assassin's Creed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why would 76 people go, yeah, go ahead. You can have it.
Take it. Or if they're like, okay, we just want the shooters, and they're like, Tom Clancy's as a whole franchise, Rainbow Six. Like,
what
no one's going to agree to that.
Say? Like, what is, like in terms of like Tom Clancy's The Division, which by the way, there's a third one in development. Rainbow Six, top 3 esports game, right? Like top or the top. It's right there. So, we saw, and again, Sony overpaid, and I hate to keep going back to this, but we saw how much Bethesda went for, and we saw how much Bungie went for. Okay, both of those companies, I would argue, sell less units than Ubisoft's 2 or 3 or 4 Ubisoft's franchises, right?
Potential, like at Ubisoft's prime.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like if you Assassin's Creed Valhalla, did that sell more or less than Doom? The most recent.
Oh
Doom.
yeah, no, it probably sold significantly.
Do you
more,
think it sold more than Destiny 2?
No.
Sold.
No. Destiny 2 was a fucking juggernaut.
Okay. I'm a huge Destiny fan, and I still think it won. Let me see.
I don't know. But I would say, like, if you go back to previous Assassin's Creed games, like an Assassin's Creed 2 or 3, probably competitive. But I would say by Valhalla, people were getting tired again. Destiny 2 sold really well, and I'm a Destiny hater.
Okay, so but there's a difference between sold and produces revenue.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying.
But there's microtransactions in
I agree,
Destiny
but I still think there's a
so.
difference between copies sold and revenue produced. Like, I'm coming to that point, like, where we're talking about we sold. This is why they split from Activision. Like, because Activision didn't like how many units sold. They didn't like they didn't like their graph wasn't up versus them saying, well, our revenue's up. They're like, yeah, but you didn't sell. Kotick's like,
I guess if you also put in the fact that we found out that Bungie's terrible at managing money, so they probably
I agree, but I'm
just
still talking about like charted on NPD. Like, every time a Far Cry game comes out, it's in the top 10 or the top 5.
Yeah,
every time. So,
but either way, like the long story short, like it's a big ask for the board to sell any of these franchises in like a new company of just like, we'll just drop that from our revenue cycle.
Fair, it's going to be really, really hard for me to find Destiny 2 total sales units because does it include Witch Queen? Does it include Lightfall? Does it include Forsaken?
Yeah.
Like, it's too hard. Like, because I'm trying.
But either way, like, to your point, they would have to get approval from the board, the publicly traded side, to allow them to spin off companies. And the determining factor of just like which IPs get sent to this new company that Tencent buys. And I think an aspect that people are missing is Tencent could buy Ubisoft now.
Right.
If they sure as hell wanted to, because Tencent is
How
loaded.
much money do you think Valhalla produced in total between sales and revenue?
I know it's probably in the hundreds of millions.
Over $1 billion.
Over $1 billion?
Yeah. For Valhalla.
I mean, games are expensive.
No, I know. I mean, I know, but I'm just there's microtransactions in Assassin's Creed now. So, I mean, like, to be honest with you, I just Googled Assassin's Creed Valhalla total sales. The first thing that Google AI gives me is Assassin's Creed Valhalla has earned over $1 billion in revenue and sold millions of copies. So,
yeah, I mean,
I'm not trying to like just focus on one thing, but like, why would Ubisoft give up the Assassin's Creed IP? Like, why?
Yeah,
why
or any other IPs.
The Far Cry. Why would they give up the Division? Why would they give up Rabbids? Like, these are like, this is not only you're giving up like all the little like merchandise that goes with it. People buy those little stupid little rabbit plushies all the time, even when they don't know what it is. Oh, that's cool looking. Like,
the other sticking point I think is what I was saying earlier is Tencent could buy it now if they wanted to. But the way it's being pitched now is like, okay, you spend all of your money and the family still gets to run the company. And I don't see why Tencent would give a shit about the Guillemot family wanting to still run it. Especially when you're talking about like, hey, okay, so we're going to put all of the franchises in this new company, but we also are going to have a stake in that company still. Tencent, please buy it, but let us still run it. Like, there's no incentive for that. Hell, if I'm Tencent, I'm just like, give me Just Dance. And we're cool, you know? Like, there's too much baggage with like Ubisoft and all the other games. Especially like, when was the last successful Ubisoft game? In the last like 2 years.
I can tell you that they've got 20 titles that have sold over 10 million copies each.
But I'm saying like the last 2-3 years, they've canceled more games than they've released.
Yes, I agree.
So we're not talking about Prime Ubisoft now. We're talking about them on their down.
Just like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 12 to 15 million copies sold reported. That Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, 14 million copies sold, and they're not making more. Like, no, but
that, again, that's like old Ubisoft, and that's the
Prince
thing.
of Persia was last year.
That's no, that's called A Crown.
Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Sands of Time is the other game.
Oh, okay, never mind. Released October 28th, 2003. My bad.
Yes. Yeah. You're looking at lifetime sales.
Yeah, I am. I'm just trying Far Cry 5, which was 2018. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Over 20 million copies sold.
Yeah.
Like, and then Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, over 20 million copies sold. Like, I mean, this is just a random like document that I found.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying any of this is like straight fact, but I mean, you're talking about 20 franchises in the last 20 years that have sold at least 10 million copies apiece. Ubisoft's
But if
gonna
you're
sit there and be like, sure, take it, it's fine.
no, exactly. Yeah, and like if you're Tencent, you're just like you understand why Tencent would want to do this of like,
But
put all
Tencent
the
wants
good IPs.
Ubisoft. They don't want the Gearmult family gaming.
Exactly. They don't want that, and then they also are just like, give us the good stuff
Yeah.
and drop all the fat, which is all the stuff you've been canceling.
Yeah.
All the weird stuff that like is never going to see the light of day, like Heartland. You know, like
Well, they canceled that, so of course. So
yeah, but like that's something that they've been working on since like 2019, and
or X Defiant, done.
yeah, X Defiant, yeah. The other one
What was
that
yeah, they killed another one. That's space.
the
or
Battle
that,
Royale,
like, yeah, I know.
Hyperspace.
Yes.
Yeah, like so, like or Hyperscape. It's one of those things where it's like it sounds like the
Dead Gamescape.
yeah the family is trying so hard to like keep Ubisoft like under their control, but if you're an investor, if you're the publicly traded side, you're like, you're the reason we're fucked. Like, you're managing this in the wrong direction. So, like, why would anyone give you more money or give you valuable IPs at pennies on the dollar? So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen to Ubisoft. I like,
and then like right off the bat, like so if let's just talk in hypotheticals, if this does happen, so like Guillermo Mont, whatever gaming, GM Gaming, I don't know what the hell to call it.
Yeah,
I'm tired of saying the name.
The family. We'll just say the family.
Yeah, the family. And then
because it's a bunch of brothers,
right? Is one division, is one gaming company, and Ubisoft is another gaming company. Who gets to keep their relationship with Nintendo?
It depends on who gets to keep Rabbids and Just Dance.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's just kind of like, that's probably, to be honest with you, now that you just brought it up, Just Dance is probably the most valuable IP under Ubisoft's library.
Yeah, it has the lowest overhead, and you can pump them out every couple months.
Yeah, I mean, and hell, I think that thing came to Nintendo 64 last year.
It might as well could have. Like, they could have done it if they wanted to. But yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's just like it's a messy thing that Ubisoft's trying to pull off, and it feels like every time we get one of these news stories, they are closer and closer to just disappearing
the
because
staff is going to get so screwed if this.
Oh,
happens.
100%.
The employees are just going to get dicked.
Because if you're Tencent, you already have development studios. You just want the IP because then you can develop it cheaper in China.
Yep.
Than anything. I mean, look at Marvel Rivals. That's NetEase, but like that's fully developed in China, and I'm sure it was a lot cheaper than like Western developed games. So it's one of those things where I don't know where Ubisoft's going to end up by the end of this year because seems like it's been more and more desperate of a company to try and figure out their financials.
And publicly, they've been quiet in terms of trailer releases or Ubisoft's forwards or like I mean, just game announcements. Like I'm not getting. I don't feel like we're getting very many emails from them with trailers and stuff like that. Like it's just as an example.
We'll talk about what's delayed. But yeah, no, like, but I also think that's because they don't have shit in development right now because they had to cancel everything because of the financial issues and they realized they made bad directions.
Right.
Like they're far away on a lot of stuff. The same way, like Naughty Dog is far away on some games because they had to cancel a big game that they were all hands on deck on. So
I mean, the scary part
when you have
excuse me, just as a point of reference, like how much Ubisoft is struggling. We talked about like Far Cry 6 or Far Cry 1 through 6, all arguably being top 5 MPD charted games per year they come out. Agreed?
Yeah.
We haven't gotten a Far Cry game since 2021.
Yeah, which is crazy based on
we don't
the
even
pace they were
know.
going.
I'm sure Far Cry 7 is in development. I hope. But if it's not even announced, which it's not, I would say 2027 at this point.
Yeah, they usually do a year out announcement and then a game comes out. Yeah,
so maybe holiday 2026. Maybe. Because we'd probably see it at like Game Awards or at the Keighley's or whatever, in the Keighley's E3. Or their Ubisoft Forward in June if they do that. But I'm just saying, like, That's the real scary part. Now you're going 6 years.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have to go back and see the cadence of the
And the
other
last
ones.
one didn't have as long a tail as the other
Correct.
ones. Still sold really well, but it didn't like. Far Cry usually releases in the first half of the year, and it's there every month on NPDs. The last one didn't have that luxury, though. It still sold really well outside the gate.
That it's in development, but it's getting complexities in development. Shocking, and it's being pushed to 2026. Pretty much what I just kind of said.
Yeah.
Without knowing that. Sorry.
Which means it'll be announced this summer, come out next summer,
Right.
and then probably sell really well out the gate, and then it's a matter of like,
Or
does
they're
it
going
have
to try
staying
to
power?
games to service it and season pass it and or seasonal content or quarterly content in or whatever like they've done with some games. They've been successful. Obviously, Valhalla, they did a good job with it, but Odyssey was considered to be like massively big. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I really, really, really enjoyed Far Cry 5 story, the cult thing, and all that. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have 6 and I haven't finished it. Nothing wrong with it.
I know a lot of
finished
people.
many games, so
Yeah, but I know a lot of people that were like that with Far Cry 6. Where
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, okay, it came out. All right, we'll move on from Ubisoft because I'm sure that's going to be a continuous story the rest of the year. We were looking at now the Switch 2 leaked, probably, possibly, allegedly, for sure, definitely did. So Nintendo apparently are on the verge of announcing a Switch 2. Part of the reason we're recording today on a Wednesday is because there was rumors that it was happening Thursday. But after a bunch of leaks, it sounds like Nintendo will be announcing the Switch 2 sooner rather than later, because at this point, there's not much to talk about for Nintendo outside of what games are developing for it. So the leaks start with the motherboard. The motherboard dimensions of the physical units and accessories have all been leaked with actual pictures of boards, accessories. There was a actual molding that was on the CES floor because accessory makers were on CES's floor talking about their product lines. So this thing's out there basically. So from the leaks, the pictures of the mother
pissed.
So apparently the company that had the moldings on their show floor, apparently Nintendo lawyers came to CES to specifically talk with them and get those removed.
Get on a plane now.
Yeah. The funny thing is,
Nintendo lawyer, somebody like
but the fact that the accessories then disappeared from CES means it just confirms that they're real.
Yep,
like Nintendo was probably
could have just left them alone, and Nintendo's like, yeah, whatever, they're not real. Like
but then they're just like, we had to remove them from the floor. It's
how
like
cute. Like take them away now.
So we have pictures of the board now that are
do you
floating
imagine
around
them in like suits with like little Mario pins, like in sunglasses, like walking.
Oh, I
in CES or
guarantee
something?
there's like the little lapels with this little logo, and
little
you're just like,
Triforce logo, like Mario with a Triforce hat on or something like that.
like you don't even have to say like, oh, who are you? You know, like it's very serious lawyers are here now.
It's like a Texas Ranger badge. I work for Nintendo. Get out the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It parts the sea, basically, of like people, especially
It's me, Nintendo. Take it down.
Yeah. People just running servers are just like nervous because like, shit, there might be a Mario sticker on my computer or some shit. All right, so the motherboard has been leaked. A lot of people are saying the pictures are real. It is going to be powered by NVIDIA, like the Switch 1 has. And based on what people can see on the board, it looks like it's going to be as powerful as a PS4, maybe a PS4 Pro. Mm-hmm. Some people were freaking out.
Of course.
Yeah. Some people were freaking out because they thought there's a chance it could be PS5 levels of power, or at least Xbox Series S.
Not in a handheld. No chance. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
Possible, but not for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, who want to keep this as cheap as possible.
It's like we talked about, like maybe in docked form, maybe, but not when you
and some of the leaks have indicated that it is going to get a nice performance boost when docked.
Good.
Which is good to hear. But yeah, so we're looking at PS4 to PS4 Pro level of graphics and, like spec-wise power, which honestly for Nintendo is not terrible. It just means you're not going to get any crazy games running on this, but I don't think anyone really gives a shit. Or at least I don't. As long as the Nintendo games run smooth, that's all I kind of care about. The other things that were noted is we're going to get a slightly bigger screen, not much. And also the Joy-Cons are going to be a little bit bigger as well. which I'm sure Dave is going to be like, yes, even if it's just slightly bigger, he's going to be like, thank God. And the Joy-Cons are going to have like some magnetic connection on it, so it's not going to just be like the full slide that it currently is. It's going to be a more magnetic thing, which I imagine is going to be fine for adults, but I'm just like, I wonder how Owen's going to be with like magnets that could potentially be like popped off really
By the
easy.
time this thing comes out, he's going to be 10 or 11 years old, so he better know how to
There
do
you
it.
go.
So,
Yeah.
He's 9, so he does pretty good with it. But he gets annoyed because he moves the Switch around a lot in his hands, like when he's like, or he's walking with it or whatever, and he'll have to like slide them off and slide them back on because they'll disconnect.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just over time, my Switch is old. It's not the old. I don't think it's the OLED. So
no, you got it before the OLED.
Yeah. So it's wearing down. I probably did kind of a bad thing today. And bought a light on sale, like for $170 or something like that. I had some other credits because I'm getting kind of tired of Owen fussing about the disconnecting Joy-Cons. So the light doesn't have that. So maybe we'll see. I might still return it. Like, I don't know, but I was like, oh, is this thing coming out? And then, but at the same time, it's still not going to be bad to have that. I don't, obviously no new Switch games are going to work on the old Switch, but, we'll see.
At least it might buy you some time with the new Switch for yourself before it becomes Owen's machine.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably not, but we'll hope.
Yeah. So slightly a bigger Switch. There's comparison videos of the 3D model that was printed at CES compared to the other Switch. So it looks like it's a decent like upgrade all overall. I mean, of course, there's a little disappointment because it is a very boring new generation for Nintendo. But I feel like Nintendo does a boring generation upgrade from time to time. NES to SNES wasn't gigantic. N64 to GameCube was like okay. Like this is just how Nintendo does stuff.
It's gonna depend on the titles. If they can get Metroid Prime 4 out on both, like they did with Zelda Twilight Princess and they did with
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild. They'll be fine. I mean, people are gonna. Yeah. It's gonna sell out for pre-orders. Like this is Nintendo. So like I'm just hoping that. I mean, are we thinking this is this year?
Yeah, it is going to be this year, is what everyone's pointing to. It'll be similar to last year, where I think they showed it in January, and then it was out in like the summer, fall. So I imagine this is going to be their holiday thing. It sounds like Nintendo was ready to release this like a year or two ago, but they wanted to make sure they had like stock and inventory ready because Nintendo doesn't want to, like there's gonna be shortages on it, and Nintendo's aware of it, but they're gonna try and avoid it because they actually want to sell their shit. They don't need false scarcity to move product. So it sounds like this will be like this holiday, maybe this summer as well. All the upgrades sound like they're smart upgrades. Like they're all slight upgrades that are stuff that I wanted on this one. The only thing that's going to suck is it's not going to be an OLED screen. Sounds like it's going to be an LCD screen, which is kind of a bummer. But that just means there'll be an upgrade in a couple years down the road where they'll have an OLED screen edition. Right. But Dave, does it sound like something that you would buy day one? Or
yeah, I mean, day one, I'd have to see some software titles. But like if they do Mario Odyssey 2, yes, I won't probably won't have a choice.
Yeah, I'm just like the backwards compatibility thing was confirmed before. I'm hoping it's cartridge backwards compatibility and not this digital. We'll find out. I know Nintendo will sell cartridges on the next generation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the old cartridges will be backwards compatible. They could do something where they make the cartridges slightly different size for the Switch 2, and then it makes it uncompatible with that. Did they
say anything about 2 game slots?
No, nothing that I saw seems like it's 1 game slot. So that's the only thing that we don't know is we don't know like what type of cartridge they're working with.
Go the 3DS route where they like the new Switch 2 games have like the little flag on the top right corner. That like I mean I know it sounds dumb, but they did that where it won't go into a DS. But it went into a 3DS or something.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. I do think the announcement is soon. It could still be this week. Nintendo usually sometimes will give 24-hour notice, so we could get an announcement at the end of the week. I imagine they're not happy though because they wanted to do their review. Especially this isn't an exciting upgrade. So like having all of their stuff this out in the open just makes their eventual announcement less impressive. And based off the rumors, their announcement was going to just be like, here's the hardware. We'll show you games next month. So it could be one of those things where now they're scrambling of like, shit, we need to show games now because all the stuff we were going to show people have basically already seen. Because you can't just have a presentation and be like, yeah, screen's like an inch bigger. The Joy-Cons are 10% larger. That's not exciting anymore because now we know that and we actually have pictures of all of that. They're going to have to show some games. And hopefully it's more than just here's Metroid Prime 4 because it's coming to Switch 1. The logo also leaked. It is a very boring logo, and it sounds like they are going with Switch 2. But whatever. Switch 2 is fine. I wish it was Super Switch or something. Something Nintendo-y, not the Switch 2. And the logos that were leaked look fucking ugly as hell, but whatever. We'll see how that ends up going. But yeah, that is the Nintendo Switch leaks, and we'll find out probably next week what the actual Switch is. And then I'll be hunting to pre-order the fuck out of it when it comes out.
All right. So kind of circling back to Ubisoft now, we're going to jump into what's delayed. So go ahead here.
Yep. Ubisoft is delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows. It was originally supposed to come out in February. Now it is coming out in March. Apparently the month delay is so they could fix stuff from player feedback, which a month doesn't sound like that is enough time to do that. But we'll see. This is the second or third time this game has been delayed. And I think this now pushes it closer to whenever the Ghost game comes out from Sucker Punch, because I think that's still due in the first half of this year, which will not do any favors for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which, Dave, for something coming out in March now, I feel like they've done a horrible job of hyping this game up, especially how they have usually hyped up Assassin's Creed games. It's usually you can't go anywhere without seeing Assassin's Creed for like 6 months. Now this is going to come out in March.
Right. It's not, it's kind of be like one of those ones, like they're struggling and then they kind of are sending something off to die, it feels like.
Yeah. Which is going to just make their sale to Tencent just so much more attractive, which just like at a certain point, that board has to be like, is this family like nosediving it so the price is more attractive for Tencent to purchase? Because it just seems weird how they're running things right now. It seems like a badly run sports team, which me and Dave know a lot about.
The Bears. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. The Bulls, the White Sox. Pistons are okay now.
Yeah, Detroit, the city of Detroit, from a sports standpoint, has three major sports teams that are currently playing, has one loss in 2025 currently.
I'm like, basketball, okay. Yeah.
And the Pistons are the ones that have the one loss. And for the record, they've been terrible, so they're already like 8 games better than they were the entire season last year. So,
yeah, they won 13 games last year or something like that.
18 or 19 wins right now or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm almost
so already a success.
I might watch them. Like, almost.
They're going to be really exciting in like 2-3 years.
Yeah, I keep hearing that.
Yeah.
All right.
I believe in Cade Cunningham.
Speaking of playing and watching stuff, we're going to do playing and watching. So mine's a little weird. I haven't played personally a lot of stuff just because of the holidays and everything like that. I did actually take the first step and I purchased things. I have bought Astrobot. I have bought Dragon Age. I've been playing bits and pieces of Destiny 2. And I've been playing my online Dynasty on Xbox. Doing really well, except for there's one team and / player in the league that's just like way better than everybody else, and he's just not fun to play against, like, at all. Everything else is usually a fairly competitive game of like, okay, I lost that because of XYZ, not this dude is just ridiculous.
That one unemployed friend.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him, so he's a friend of a friend, so I'm not saying anything. However, I got to watch the Lions win the division in a great game, just to see them. So I have back-to-back division titles. I have a division championship shirt on right now. So, don't shake your head at me. You'd be doing the same thing. Well, you're not even a football fan. You'd be buying a Bulls playoff run shirt if they actually could make it.
No, surprisingly, no. Like I don't buy
Really?
that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I have a Scott Podsednik Worlds. I will buy something if they win the actual championship,
Okay.
but not
I mean,
divisional runs.
yeah. I mean, this is the second division they've won since I was like 8. So,
Yeah.
it's got some, and I love football. Watched a lot of the college football playoffs and stuff like that. Those have some been kind of mediocre. Watched some NFL playoffs. We bought a PSVR 2.
You stupid man.
Angela wants to do Beat Saber as part of her 2025 thing. So it was like $320 though, like with Horizon.
Yeah.
So
I could see myself buying one on the
Beat
next
Saber.
sale.
Yeah.
But
I have it. So right now we have Beat Saber. I have not even put the code in for the Horizon game. A couple of people told me like the beginning of the Horizon game is like absolutely beautiful in VR. So I just need to do it. I have not physically put the headset on since we bought it like 3 or 4 days before Christmas. I have not put the headset on my head yet. Other than I think one time just to make sure it actually would fit. With that, I actually did something that I don't normally, that I've been kind of going against for a little while, but because the library was a little bit better and it was there, upgraded plus to the highest tier.
it's premium?
Well, there was VR. I don't know if I needed to go that high, but it was just easier.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's like, I don't remember if it was premium or essential or base. I don't know what the terms are. But there's like 20 PSVR 2 games on there.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was on there that I almost bought, and I will buy it if I need to, but still haven't played it yet, but downloaded it. Plucky Squire is part of Plus, essentially,
yeah.
or premium or whatever. So
the middle tier,
yeah, that's on my list. Like that's kind of, but again, like most of you know or don't know, and we haven't really recorded for like a month. Like my change of store, has kind of taken up some of my time, and energy, mental energy. So that's kind of affecting some things too. As well as like this weekend, we're going down to Kentucky to see Parker. I have not seen Parker since he was born, and he's 3 months old. So I'm trying to be a good grandpa.
And part of me was like, "Who the hell is Parker?" And then I remember because it's been so long. I'm just like, "Who the hell are you talking about?"
Probably last time we talked, he was only 2 months old. So,
yeah.
There's definitely a lot of that going on, and just kind of trying to navigate and figure that out. And I was kind of, I'm in this weird space of like. I almost bought Dragon Age on the PC, but it was on sale on PlayStation and PC. I always forget that Jonathan, my oldest, has another PlayStation 5 in Kentucky. And if I digitally buy Dragon Age, he has access to it. So the pros and cons that I'm weighing of like, oh, I can buy it on Steam, play it on my ROG, and have it on my PC. Or I can buy it on PlayStation and my family can enjoy it. And so it's just kind of this going back and forth dynamic. That I'm struggling with. Movie wise, we saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I know you're not the biggest fan of him necessarily all the time, but I thought Jim Carrey was great.
Oh no, I was a fan of Jim Carrey like growing up and all that stuff like that. He just did horrible damage to He just did horrible damage to my generation's view of comedy. But yeah, no, he was great in Sonic 3. Sonic 3 was really good. I saw it in the theater day one, which trying to find a light way to put it. It was definitely a theater experience.
Kid Central.
Little kids, and then just like adults on the spectrum that are really into DeviantArt that were just like cheering at the weirdest moments during that movie, and I'm just sitting there just like, we can't even hear him talk, and you guys are freaking the fuck out. Like, what is going on right now?
So we were supposed to see it on Christmas Eve. And I got sick. Shocking. Like really sick. But we ended up seeing it like last week, I think. I'm losing track of time because like the kids, Owen and Angela, went back to school and work like this week. But we saw it, and I'm gonna get the term wrong, and you're gonna roll your eyes at me or whatever. But I saw it in the 280 degree theater.
See, I don't know.
Like they put extended images on the walls.
Okay.
For some scenes, like so, it gave it like kind of, I guess it gave it like more depth. So it didn't affect anything, and it was cool, but then it also sometimes was kind of a distraction. But it was like one of these things where it's like, so do you remember, and trying to not spoil, but do you remember the part in the movie where Shadow is picking up or helping Sonic get up? Like and he puts his hand out. And so in like I'm assuming this, but your view, you really only saw like Shadow's like elbow down, right?
Yeah.
I saw all of Shadow on the right-hand wall.
Oh, okay, so it's just like full, like super widescreen.
Yeah, and it was interesting. It didn't do it all the time.
Hmm.
So it did, like, it wasn't constantly like that, but it was definitely cool. And our theater has like those VIP seats where it's like a set of 3 seats with the coat hooks on each side, and you're kind of like, you're not close
Yeah,
to
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
else. So like, you can get a set of 2, you can get a set of 3. We have a really really nice theater, like 5 minutes from our house.
Yeah.
Like, we love it, and so like love reclining seats and the heated seats and all that fun stuff. The only thing they don't do is like bring you food.
Yeah, which honestly I prefer because
Right,
the
because
bringing
nobody's
food
walking
ones.
around. Yeah, it's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but and this is really even the one that has like the movie theater with the bar in it and everything. Even though I don't,
Mhm.
you know me, I don't drink a ton, but every once in a while I'm like, that's cool. So
Yeah.
you can go get a mixed drink or get a cocktail or get
Sonic
a
themed
glass of
cocktail.
beer. Yeah, it's yeah, and then we started watching Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus, um, with the Star Wars stuff, mainly with Owen. So trying to watch that with Owen, because it's kind of little. It seems like it's a little semi kid preteen centric.
Yeah.
Pretty good so far. I watched the first episode of Shifting Gears with Tim Allen and Kate Denning.
Mm. Hmm.
I don't know. It's I fell down the rabbit hole watching like Two Broke Girls for like all 6 seasons of it when I was. I know. I'm just saying.
When your friends are going through, like you're going through some shit, watching Two Broke Girls. God, ugh.
Leave me
It's
alone.
funny. Ever since you started to say like, "Oh, I'm watching Two Broke Girls," like TikTok heard that and then was just sharing clips.
Well, you don't
of
have to
Two
worry
Broke
about that in
Girls.
4 days, okay?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
So, that's mostly it for me. I, at this point in time, feel like I need to start treating my video game playing like I do my work, and like
You might need to.
make a list and prioritize stuff, like, and kind of like manage myself to play video games. Um, so like I need a 30, 60, 90-day plan for playing video games, like, because I just come home and I signed up for a basketball league, got my ass kicked today. So I'm actually pretty healthy, believe it or not. Hence my coughing has been since I played like 5 9-minute scrimmages of basketball, and I'm old. Like, I'm old. This is a old person's league too. Like, I'm playing in those leagues of like, oh, look at how cute that is. Like 10 years ago, like, oh, look, that's cool. There's a 40 and over league over there, and like now I
No
am
one
like
says,
that dude.
"Oh, that's cute."
No, I'm
No one
just
says
using
that's
that
cute.
reference. Like, oh,
Yeah,
look at the old men playing basketball. That's good. They're
Yeah.
staying in shape. Now I'm that good. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not in shape. So
Well, Dave, if you need to make a list, I would say Indiana Jones and the Great Circle would be a good start of games.
I started that.
It's got a good intro. Like they do a good thing of just like, hey, here's the.
I almost saw the logo.
So you didn't even beat the part from
I
the
don't
first
know.
movie.
I don't remember.
Okay. Or not the first movie. They make
That
you
was,
replay
like,
a scene.
Before Christmas.
Yeah.
No, I did that part. Yes, I did the
Okay.
rolling boulder. I did that.
Okay. And then you were exploring the library.
Yeah, and where it
After
kept
that?
telling me I was
Okay.
putting the wrong thing on the wrong shelf. That was irritating.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to pay attention, Dave. You're supposed to know what those countries are and their artifacts, Dave.
Dude,
Everyone knows that.
I barely graduated high school. So,
Okay.
I'm just saying.
No, I don't know. I'm just like trying to think of like I'm just like okay.
And
I'm like,
damn
how can
sure
I
did
make
not pay
this?
attention to social studies. I can promise you that. Even though
I'm
my
just
wife
like-
is a history major, I'll just bring her in when I play.
So if those are basically like, hey, put the Jordans in the right era,
Oh,
you would have
just
been
slam
fucking
dunk. Slam dunk.
you nailed the shit out of that.
Yep.
That'll be Indiana Jones in
Put
like
all the
50
position,
years.
Put all the position players for basketball or baseball or football in the appropriate spots. Done.
It's this Indiana.
Identify a country's flag. Not a chance.
The Indiana Jones in 50 years from now is going to be like, who was Jordan's teammates?
Yeah.
And that's going to how you're going to solve the puzzle.
100%. I would pick something up, put it down. They'd say no. I'd move it somewhere else. They'd say no. I'd move it somewhere else. They'd say no. I put it on the floor, pick something else up, put it down. They said yes. I'm like, cool. And I kept going.
Oh God! No wonder you stopped shortly after that.
Leave me alone.
I would say though, Indiana Jones. I haven't finished it, but like halfway through it, it's really entertaining game. The puzzles are like that, so nothing like super complicated. But like if you're not wanting to pay attention, could be a little frustrating. I still halfway through the game don't know how I feel about it being in first person. A good chunk of the game, but for the most part, I think it's a fine game. I I remember before it came out, I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. They really should have released it earlier. It's like, I kind of see why they're like, we don't need to be in contention for Game of the Year because it's not quite on that level. But it's definitely a competent game. They didn't do the game any favors, though, releasing it in December because it like quickly kind of left everyone's attention. And then when it comes to me, what ultimately distracted me from continuing Indiana Jones, which I'm hoping to finish this weekend, is Marvel Rivals came out in December. And that has eaten up a lot of my time. I'm at 95 hours, according to Marvel Rivals. It's funny. It's been a kind of slow burn that like slowly picked up, and then
your definition of slow burn.
No, so like when it first came out, like December 6th or whatever, I played a couple rounds and like I maybe put like 2-3 hours the first weekend, and it's been like every week I put more and more hours into it, to where like now it's become a nightly tradition as opposed to before where it's like I would go like 2-3 days between playing again. So like the first week it came out, I probably put like 2-3 hours into it. And then by like the third week, I'm putting like 10 hours into that game a week. And now I'm playing it every night for 2 hours.
I was going to say, just for the record, 96 divided by 40 is 2.5 a day.
Yeah, no, like
it's been out for 40 days.
No, but like
I get it. I guess I understand your slow burn part of it of like, the first week was like 5 hours, which is not helping your case because now it's 4 weeks of 90 hours. Like,
well, no, that's basically how it kind of happened, where it was just especially when I'm like, this game is, it's an Overwatch clone, like unapologetically. Anyone that says it isn't, it is. But it's a better Overwatch clone it's a better Overwatch than Overwatch in many different aspects. But it's one of those things where
Concord.
Oh, 100%. It is one of those things where if you remember when Overwatch first came out, like I was instantly hooked on Overwatch and was instantly like, oh, I stayed up till 6-7 in the morning playing.
I also feel like Overwatch that year was a slow burn and it ended up just destroying everything. Like after like the first 6 months when people learned and understood and figured it out.
Yeah, and that is definitely happening here, but it feels like at a faster pace. Like they hit 20 million players. It helps it's free to play.
Yeah.
And
it helps
but like
Marvel.
it helps that it's Marvel. It's got really good character design. It's got funny like writing. They have modes just ready to go. Like they were fully prepared for this. They're already in first season. They had a preseason and a first season, and they dropped 2 new heroes. They dropped Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman.
I'm seeing most on some of my my Destiny follow is they've kind of like Destiny's struggling right now, and they're like, oh, let's go check out Marvel, and then you're starting to see stuff show up on my feed of like, here's the proper way to use Invisible Woman. That's a character, right? Yeah. So like the roster, I'm just impressed with the roster.
Well, because they had like almost 30 characters to start, and then a month later, they're like, here's 2 more characters, and they're like, guess what? In 6 weeks, we're gonna add 2 more characters.
Yeah, and they can pull random crap.
The
Marvel character stuff and make them playable and vital and necessary. Like, I'm thinking about it, but again, I have such a backlog. Anyways, a couple people that my small group of gaming are playing it, and I'm like, So I guess my first question to you is, does it have cross-platform play?
Yes.
Does it have cross progression? Can I play it on PC and play it on PS5 and have the same character?
I haven't checked to see if it's cross progression, but it is cross play. So, I haven't seen a linked account. I'm just playing it on PlayStation.
Okay.
But I could definitely check that out just to see. But for the most part, like the gameplay's fun, and I think so for Overwatch, after a little bit of time with Overwatch, I could only play ranked mode to feel anything. This game, I actually can play unranked and their arcade mode and actually have a decent to fun time. The problem I always had with Overwatch is at a certain point, like if I just wasn't in the mood to play seriously, I would still go into comp because that would be the only way I could like have enjoyment in that game, even if I'm dead tired. But this game, I'm going into unranked. Hell, I'm even going in practice against AI because I just kind of like playing the game, and there's so many in-game achievements that you can do, and dailies, monthlies, goals specific to each character, to where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna hop in against AI and work my way through some of these achievements. Like, they built a very robust system, and it actually wants you to play as all the different characters because of all these various achievements. They want you to do different team ups, and there's a lot of stuff you're working towards, and you're not necessarily working towards like unlocking more cosmetics because their battle pass system isn't great, but it's okay. But like, because they made all the characters kind of fun to play and interesting, you're willing to experiment and do some of the dailies that require you to play a specific character. And if you're not really feeling like doing that in ranked play or unranked play, you could go do that against AI.
Do they have the season pass system never expires, or battle pass doesn't expire? You can always work on previous ones, or is that a different game?
That's a different game.
Okay.
Unless it changes, because they did a cheaper battle pass for season 0.
Okay.
And none of that progressed over to season 1. So I don't know if that's...
Can you go back and work on season 0?
No. You can't go back to work on...
There's a game that allows that.
Yeah. Who knows? It could be this game for future seasons, but season 0 is a different... I
was going to ask you, so like, what's the return on investment for your effort? Because that's kind of where these free-to-play games and these games as a service are. Like, what's the ROI?
So, I mean, basically, it's just going to be like...
Besides being fun, which is the most important thing, by the way. So,
well, I would say that is number one still. Because like the stuff you're unlocking in the Battle Pass is going to be like skins. Not a lot of skins. A lot of like spray paints and stuff like that. So like little trinkets. But for the most part, it's going to be the fun of why you're doing it. And then also like the different daily and monthly challenges that refresh. So the dailies refresh every day, obviously, but the monthly, they give you 3 extra monthly tasks every day to do on top of that.
Jeez.
That don't expire for 30 days or 40 days. Yeah.
Okay.
That you can use to build towards the battle pass. And those can be like anywhere from like, hey, take 50,000 damage, play as Jeff the Land Shark, play as Invisible Woman, this sort, stuff like that. And then you also get the option of you can re-roll up to 3 times the daily and the monthly tasks. So if you get one you just don't want to do, you can refresh that up to 3 times per day. So you can constantly like, take your chances of like re-rolling, and then hopefully you get like a task you want to do. But then there's also like, there's a seasonal event right now, and there are like 2 additional arcade modes that are like team deathmatch or a free-for-all sort of stuff with its own map sets. That is interesting, and all the characters have specific dialogue to that specific map. So if you want to hear all the different dialogue options that pop up in the game, or like the conversations, you want to do that. But for the most thing, the thing that's going to be driving you in this game is it's just fun to play. And there's a ton of strategy because there's a ton of heroes. There's a lot of different counters. You do have the problem where there is a lot of like residual Overwatch stuff going on, where you have a lot of people that are like, you need to play this like Overwatch, and will demand like you need to do 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS. And for the most part, you can just tell those people to just fuck all the way off, because for the most part, like if you just want to play your character, you can play your character and you can be successful as long as you know how to play that character and know counters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been in games where there's 6 DPSs and we win just because everyone's just kind of on their shit and know what to do. As long as you know how to counter and interact with characters. I don't really feel like there's any characters that are like, they're so, they have a counter that completely makes them like pointless to play. Like I feel like for the most part, if there is a character that's going against you on the other team that is your counter, if you maneuver the right way, you can get by the fact that you have someone who's playing specifically to counter you. Mm-hmm. So you don't feel completely canceled out or you have to switch characters. You can learn to adapt and use the map to your advantage to try and survive. So
nice.
Playing the hell out of that. I already have my set of characters. I'm happy because in Overwatch, I really just had like 3 characters that I was like really good at. And if those characters were picked, I would be kind of useless for that comp round. This one, I feel like I have like 6 characters that I can go to, and then there's like another dozen that I'm like okay at playing and I feel comfortable with. Of course, when I play those characters, voice chat is off. I mute the chat. So when people are like, you suck at playing this character, and it's just like, you fuckers picked my top 3 choices, so I have to play this character. But for the most part, it's been super fun, having a lot of fun with it. Like, as soon as we're done here, Dave, I'm going to hop on Marvel Rivals and play a little bit and get some comp games in. Though I will say the comp is kind of a pain because they start everyone in Bronze 3 and you got to work your way up. And then at the end of the season, I believe they said they're going to knock you 5 to 7 tiers down so you can work your way back up the following season. So they got rid of like the weird mystery calculations that Overwatch was doing, where you would get to a tier, like I would get to Diamond, and then next season it'd be like, you're Silver now.
Yeah.
And it's like, how'd you...
Okay.
Yeah. So like you actually have to earn your way through. There's less of a mystery calculation happening. So I appreciate that. Hopefully it stays that way.
Last question. Do you feel like the game has skill-based matchmaking?
It definitely feels like it does as I've been moving up in the comp rating. In unranked, I don't really see much matchmaking.
First of all, SBMM. Sorry, that sounded worse. Skill-based matchmaking should be in competitive, 100%. Should be in competitive. You should be going against people that are the same rank as you, period. Like, I mean, that's kind of like, and then, but I don't think it should be in unranked modes. I think that should be something, to your point, that you can kick back, have fun, and not feel like you have to sit up and get in the video game position and lean forward. And you want to be able to, like, sit on the couch, maybe listen to a podcast or have a discussion with your partner and play the game. And not feel like you're going to have, like, oh my gosh, I have to, like, oh, they picked that person. Like, whatever.
I haven't really noticed.
To exist, and it has to, in order for this game to have any long-term legs, that comfortability of back and forth has to exist.
Yeah, and I feel like there's enough matchmaking going on the back end to where you can just hop into unranked and have a good time. And also, man, because of 20 million players, like matchmaking is like 2 seconds.
That's great. I just hope it lasts. Like, that's the thing, man. Like, I hope it lasts, and I just hope it's not. Like, the only one that I feel like has legs right now is Fortnite. Like, but I think they were smart though, and they're saying like, hey, every 6 weeks we're gonna have characters coming out. A roadmap, shocking, a plan. So like,
turns out because it's like right now, like everyone's just like really excited after the first week with the Fantastic Four of like, cool, we're getting more.
Not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, no offense to Concord, but like there was no foundation built to that game. Like, this foundation, whether people like it or don't like it, is Marvel. And that's a fantastic foundation. Like, I'll play because I'll be like, oh, it'll be cool to do something with Thor. I don't even know if he's in the game, but
he is.
So I mean, like, that's just like, and you know, like, that's cool.
And I think what's going to be key though is like the way they announced at the beginning of the season, the Fantastic Four are coming, and then day 1 of the new season, 2 people from the Fantastic Four are available, and they're like, the next 2 are going to be available in like a month and a half.
And it doesn't sound like it's a ridiculous grind to get them, right? They're just there.
They're just there.
Perfect.
It's just a grind to get their costumes. And they sell a bunch of cosmetics as well. So if you have the money, you could just buy the costume.
Yeah, but it's to your point, it's just a costume.
Yeah, exactly. But they're also smart. Like all the movie costumes, you have to buy those.
Good for them.
Yeah. So it's just like, I really want the No Way Home Spider-Man.
They had to pay somebody for that.
Yeah. Because they're paying Disney for that shit. But I think what's going to be smart for them, or at least I hope they do it, already people data mine the characters coming, like the next 10 characters. But if they're smart, as soon as the Thing and or Human Torch release, they should be like, Cyclops and Colossus are coming next.
Right.
You know, they need to just immediately tell people, like, don't go anywhere because in a couple weeks, more people are coming.
Hey, man. We got to get on Thursday night. Cyclops is dropping. We got to do it. Like, those conversations need to happen in an office or on a Discord chat on a Monday afternoon of like, hey, we all got to play on Thursday. Like, we're all going to be like, and I don't know.
The X-Men are coming.
Yeah. I don't even know if we can do this. We're all going to be Wolverine. Like, I don't know if that's possible. I don't think it is, but it's, you know, all right, we're going to rock, paper, scissors, see who goes first. That's the type of conversation and community and groups they need to build, and this game will thrive.
You know, especially like if you look at I love the team up thing that they have. It's something that's like from Ultimate Alliance. is like, okay, so if you put Magneto and Scarlet Witch on the same team, they're father-daughter, they're going to have special abilities because they're together on a team. So when all 4 Fantastic Four characters are on a team when they all release, they're probably going to do cool abilities that they can team up with. They should do that, like when they release more X-Men characters, because then people are going to be like, fuck, we got to jump on Thursday and we need 6 X-Men on the same team.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what we could do with all 6 X-Men on the same team. And that's something that they can actually do.
I don't know. Like,
it's something random. It's just like when they add Colossus to the game, which I think he was leaked. Colossus does the thing where he throws Wolverine,
Or
like,
when you pull it off, like that's a clip that goes on social media and people are like, that looks cool. I want to do that too. Like that's where the success comes from. Or if it's watchable on Twitch, yes, everybody older than me is going to roll their eyes. Like that's important in the gaming world right now.
Yeah, when people outside of the US are looking on TikTok, they're going to get a bunch of videos of like Marvel Rivals stuff. Like it is really a lot of potential of what they could do with the character roster. And then, like the stuff being data mined of what characters are coming in the future just has me more excited because there's a ton of characters and I'm like, I want to play as these characters and I will stick around. And if they actually hit their every other month, every 6 weeks, that's going to be crucial to keep me paid attention to where like, okay, I saw there's like 4 characters I'm really interested in playing. If we're doing every 6 weeks, okay, you have me for half a year now.
Yeah. On a random Wednesday night in January, 151,000 people are currently watching Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
More than League, more than Minecraft, more than Counter-Strike. Like, it's real. It's really real.
Yeah. And when they drop bigger characters as new characters, you're going to see those numbers spike
or tournaments
throughout the course.
Twitch Rivals. Like,
there's already a tablet for their tournament mode stuff that you can sign up for and like the seasonal modes and stuff like that. So
people might not like NetEase, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they actually did the thing we always complained about other companies not doing of like they would look at Destiny and be like, we need a clone of that, but then they would make the same mistakes Destiny made.
Correct.
And this one looked at Overwatch and they actually looked at the mistakes Overwatch made and were like, let's avoid those mistakes.
And then saw Overwatch 2 and goes, okay, totally different direction now.
Yeah, exactly. So, Marvel Rivals, will probably hear me talk about it every other week.
I'll love if you have a go-to weekly pattern game again. Like I think that helps content, our conversation in general. So.
Yep. But that's all I for playing and watching.
All right.
Bulls suck, White Sox suck, Bears suck. It's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can beat Detroit, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. You were a poverty town for so long, so it's okay.
We're like top 5 best place to live now, or something like that. Some article said that.
Sure. Yeah.
When it's going to be 5 degrees next week.
Yeah, it's currently 8 degrees right now. I'm kind of cold.
All right, we're gonna speed run some of these questions really quick. They're easy. So
do you want to answer this one, or is this a jinx?
No, I'm
okay.
I got Dan Campbell as head coach, man. I don't give a damn. He's got
okay.
So Stefan from Europe, which he won't hear this until next NFL season. But
we gave him a month and a half.
I know
he should be caught up.
Did you see him? You don't use Facebook anymore. Did you see him like 3 or 4 weeks ago on Facebook? I answered a question or did something in August episode, I think he said. Yeah. And I said it doesn't matter. He's not going to hear this till December. He heard it in December.
Damn.
Like I nailed it. So yeah, Stefan won't hear this until
summer.
Yeah, Memorial Day. There's not even Memorial Day in Europe, but middle of May.
The day we saved him.
Credit. Easter. He'll have it. He'll hear it by Easter. Do you think the Lions have a realistic chance to reach the Super Bowl this year? 100% yes. Yes. What they just did to the Minnesota Vikings and what the Lions injury depleted defense turned Sam Darnold back into Sam Darnold after he'd won 14 games with the Vikings. Like he had, and you're not as big of a football fan, but you'll understand this. The Vikings were inside of the 10-yard line and ran 15 plays inside the 10-yard line, no touchdowns.
I'm like trying to figure out how you even get 15 plays in the 10-yard line.
Well, like three or four different times, possessions.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
They went down there 3 or 4 different times and ran a total of like 15 or 16 plays. And they have the best wide receiver in football. Yeah. And he could not complete a touchdown pass. So what the Lions are, and they got the week off this weekend. Like, they don't play this weekend. Well, they didn't play last weekend. I'm sorry. They do play this weekend. And their team, our team was just decimated with injuries. Yes, I'm saying our team. Everybody can shove it.
Cringe.
Shut up. But no, like, the Lions are, they are one of the best offenses in football, and they have a pass-a-viable defense. And there is a possibility that Aiden Hutchinson, who snapped his leg in half in like October, could play in the Super Bowl. And I think if he just dresses and like walks out on the field, like, the team's going to be so hyped, it's not even going to matter. Like, it's not even going to matter if he plays. Like, it's when, like, Jordan played with the flu, and he did amazing. But even when, like, oh, Jordan's just on the court, and it mattered,
Yeah, it's everyone's like, well, I got to step up if he's able to.
Yeah, if he can play
that.
with a broken leg from 12 weeks ago, like, I definitely have to play and play well. So, yes, I do. I legitimately do think that they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And then Grey Ghost writes, which gaming generation is the best? Mine is the beginning of the HD generation, PS3, Xbox 360, the real beginning of online multiplayer gaming consoles. Dang, Tom, you're old. So for me, it's simply going to be the PS4. And the PS4 I had a PS3, but and I enjoyed it. I really intermittently had a PS1 or PS2. I barely did any of that. PS3 kind of started me into the PlayStation thing. The PSN outage is what kind of introduced me to the PSN store, which introduced me to Uncharted, with blah, 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 which then kind of like introduced me to, obviously, like, our prior history of like the PSN or the PS Nation, like, Facebook group and that community and those people that I still communicate with now. And then the PS4 came out, and it just took off for me. Like, whether it was Destiny or Battlefield or any of that stuff, like, that's the generation that's the best for me, because that's the memory I have the most of. There always being a party chat going, playing something, Killzone, Battlefield, Destiny, like, it didn't matter. Like, and that was the fun thing of, like, coming home from work and playing video games with my friends all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for me, it is going to be the PS3, because that's where basically all of my social online gaming came from. It was also the first generation I actually bought the console myself, which I think is important to a lot of people. But yeah, no, I just felt like that was when video game creativity was at its peak, in terms of indies were just becoming a thing. There was a lot of experimental things. Not only were indies just becoming a thing, you still had major companies taking chances on video games and experimenting, like some residual stuff from the PS2 era, where companies were like, let's try this weird thing. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, whatever. We'll just make it a downloadable thing. But you were also getting a lot of good AA games being published both physically and digitally. So there was just a wider range of just video game types available. And that's also, where I got involved with various online groups. That's when we were doing Killzone tournaments, Warhawk tournaments. So I have a lot of love for that generation, and that's always going to be my favorite. You can't really see it on the bookshelf, but I have over 150 PS3 games behind me, because that was a generation that I was just super into. That was also the generation I was in high school, so I had a lot of fucking free time. So I got to spend a lot of time playing games, and that was a time where I could stay up till 6 a.m., take a shower, and then go to school on no sleep and be fine. I would just sleep during history class, and I would be good for the day. And
still pass their Indiana Jones tests.
Hell yeah, I did. I was actually really good at history, which is why I slept in that class. I would always get into fights with my teachers. Long story. But yeah, no, that whole generation is always my favorite generation. I will tell you, Dave, the worst generation is the NES generation. But that's just because all those games are the fucking same.
Sounds like a potential Patreon episode conversation.
Yeah.
So
anyone that says like the NES generation is the greatest generation or the SNES generation is the greatest generation, that's just pure nostalgia.
yeah, I have good memories of Super Nintendo. That's like Tecmo Super Baseball and Street Fighter, and like just button mashing Street Fighter with Blanca and the electricity. Like that's when I was playing video games with my older brother. Like there's a memory attachment to that. But in terms of like how I became the gamer I am today, that's because of PS4. And how you're the gamer you are today is because of the PS3.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, from a gameplay standpoint, like, NES and SNES were very fucking boring. But what carries those generations are the memories you had during them.
They're very boring based on what you know now.
No, I mean, I think they were boring then. Like, you'd be like, oh, 100 fucking percent.
Okay. We'll have to unwrap this one separately.
Yeah.
So.
Just, they were all side-scrollers. And then I would always hate people like, oh, the art style in this one's amazing. And it's just like, that fucking looks like the other side-scroller you just showed me.
2D pixels or sprites.
No, it's funny. I love sprites now because of like what we could do with them now, because you can do different shit with them. But back then, I was just every time
every girl had yellow hair. Every girl sprite had highlighter yellow hair and a pink dress.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that was weird because people had crush on.
It wasn't even a dress, but it was just a pink like pixel.
Yeah. When people were like, "Oh, the art design," I mean, that's also like people were like, like we go to PS1 generation, like when they remade Final Fantasy VII, and they're like, "Oh, Tifa's not as hot as she was in a PS1 game," and you're just like, "Excuse me, excuse me, sir."
Like square shoulders over the rounded ones, like.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something else, but
but that's like a whole different story there. But like, anytime people are saying the NES games they still hold up and they're amazing.
Write this down. Like this is like legitimately a topic.
Yeah. Fucking, I'll take a Mario now than
absolutely
playing Mario fucking 2 again.
Fantastic games on the older generations, like Link to the Past and stuff like that. There are some phenomenal games. Ocarina of Time. Like I'm not gonna just lift off Zelda games, but anyway. But yes, I'm with you. Like sometimes old game is old, so I'm totally with you. So
and I feel that mostly with the the pixel stuff.
Older games are older.
Yeah, like I'll say like I can't go back to the PS1 generation because they fucking look like shit.
Play an NES right now, like that controller would probably like cripple my hand.
No, it feels like shit. It was square.
Yeah, it's just like.
Fuck that, or it was a rectangle. Sorry.
Yeah, same thing.
Fuck
it
that
might as well been a square. It had 4 sharp corners. Or I'm sorry, it had 8 sharp corners because it was, a 3D rectangle.
Honestly, Nintendo has never had a good controller, ever.
The
Pro controller
was okay.
No, the fucking bullshit nub.
Yeah, like I'm just saying. No. The middle.
The buttons were in a weird, stupid spot. The fucking nub was stupid. It had the third fucking leg.
All right, we can't do this now. We have to do this later.
Fucking game controller piece of shit. Fucking Pro controllers.
Wavebird.
No, it was still a fucking GameCube controller.
Oh my god. Okay.
Fucking terrible. Also, I've realized that the PS2 and PS3 controllers are dog shit too.
Yeah, with no analog sticks, 100%.
No. With the analog sticks, the PS3 controller is fucking dog shit. It's a Fisher Price.
Did you see that new Hyperkin controller for Xbox?
No, I haven't.
You'll have to look that up. It's literally like a DualSense ripoff with an Xbox logo on the front of it.
I mean, I will take it. Like I feel like
parallel analog sticks.
The first good controller is honestly the PS4 controller.
All right, while I'm closing the show, you should Google that Hyperkin Xbox controller.
I will look it up, and we'll talk about it next week.
All right, so that is our show for this week. We are, trying to get back in our rhythm. New January 2025, maybe weekly episodes. Life considering. But you can follow us possibly still on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. I think we're gonna do a blue sky, right? Probably we're gonna have to.
Well, now I have to, so no one fucking steals it later. Yeah. So.
I don't
know
this is a. See, like
it's funny. Like the centerpiece is like this is how we'll stay away from copyright.
Yeah, but that's a DualSense, man.
The white parts are DualSense.
It has haptic too. I think it has haptic.
Yeah, the only part that doesn't look right is the black part of the controller. Yeah, I agree. But it looks like DualSense.
I am interested in this controller for like my PC and everything, right? Like,
yeah.
So I don't know how much it costs or anything, but on Twitter, you can follow Michael at the first MJC. I assume that'll be his blue sky thing. If it not already
It already exists. I already have it.
Yeah, see. You can follow me at Good Dave Hunt. We have our Facebook group. A little slow, a little inactive, but that's okay. Discord server is where the conversation, when it does happen, is in Discord. So those are all linked in the show notes. And our Patreon that we talked about, we're gonna just destroy the Nintendo on a Patreon episode. So that'll be
even if it's just me yelling.
You could just do that by yourself without me. You know that, right?
Yeah, I could.
Have a monologue just destroying the Nintendo and then just publish it. And it would probably be like our most listened to Patreon thing, I bet.
During the Lions game, we'll record something.
Shut your mouth. I'm out of town. I am in Kentucky during the Lions game, by the way, and we're still watching it. I am like, I don't even know, like bringing Texas Roadhouse into our Airbnb.
Is it going to be on national TV? It should be, right? All the playoff games are national TV?
So my daughter's fiance is a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. It's like his only legitimate red flag. Other than that, he's great. And so the Chiefs play at like 4 o'clock on Saturday, and the Lions play at 8 o'clock. So we got an Airbnb in Central Kentucky area that has enough space, I hope, for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people, or 7 people, 1 baby, 1 grandbaby.
But your people are tall people, though.
No, my wife and daughter are small, and Owen's small, and
Okay.
Parker's really small. So,
Okay.
But yeah, so like we're definitely, I'm not sure what food it's going to be. Raising Cane's, I don't know, something. But we're bringing in some terrible food and just watching football as a family. So that'll be phenomenal, by the way. But you can check out our Patreon website at patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. Recommitment to 2025 Patreon stuff. I promise. I know I said it in 2024, but 2024 was a really, really, really bad year for me. Okay, really bad. All things considered, I was put out some decent content, but the last part of 2024 was really bad.
Yeah, you kind of went through the ringer.
Yeah. So, but definitely gonna dial that in with, just what we talked about, like the NES thing. So consider subscribing to that. It might get a slight retool. I don't think so, but I think it's okay. But we definitely need to check your subscriptions. They did some funky stuff with billing, so please, if you're listening to this, check that out. If you're already supporting us, thank you. If you're not supporting us on Patreon, you're fine. Just download the show, please. Share it with a friend. Give a review, something. We'd love to grow the audience a little bit more and get some more conversations going. Send us your questions and all that stuff. So, all right. I hope everyone has a great week and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.
I think that was a really good show.
Yep. Started rough, but we got there.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Like, you're not moving on my wave line on OBS at all, but obviously she could hear you. I texted her. I'm like, please stop telling me stuff. I said, what he records and what I have recorded will sound completely different than what you hear in the stream.
Yeah. It just, the archive is just going to be rough.
I will fix this for next week for the
Okay.
4 viewers we had on stream right now, which is fine. Tons and tons of people watch the VODs. I understand that, but so.
Yeah. Also, I just literally tweeted out like an hour and a half before, like, hey, we're back.
Yeah.
People probably thought we were dead.
Yeah, we did get a couple messages. So I saw an email come through today. I'm like, is this somebody like sending us an email asking us if we're okay? I was like,
yeah.
So, all right, those of you that are watching the stream, thank you so much. We will talk to you later.
Later. Your voice cracked. Yep. Yeah, he's played some